I'm very excited to talk about pair programming and TDD. I don't get to do that every day. I'm lying. They asked me to talk about object-oriented programming. I'm going to talk about TDD. They asked me to talk about project management. I'm going to talk about TDD. I talk about this thing almost every day. I'm a coach, so I get to, give you impractical things and go away. That's what a coach do. They go there and urge you to do things and prompt you to do things and then let you with the trouble. So I hope I'm going to, instigate in you the desire to do some of this stuff. And you're going to have problems. You're on your own. Now you can call me. You can, or send me an email or find me on IRC. I'm always glad to help. Some of you who know me, you'll see that I'm glad to help you with this thing. I'm not just going to drop the bomb and go to Korea. So software is about people. Some of the slides is going to resonate with Aral's talk for some weird reason. I have I have some of the ideas that it's very much what I'm trying to say. I believe software is about people. It's more about, less about 0 and 1s than it is X and Y's, chromosomes, female, male. It's people working together. That's what I believe software is all about. Why? Because it's people who is the software at the end. It's people who is going to develop it, right? You guys. It's people who is going to pay for it, hopefully. It's people who is going to sign it off. So you need to get into the psychology of people when you're doing software. There's no way around it, right? So coding is hard, but not as hard as collaborating, right? This is the trick. If you figure out how to collaborate with other people, then you get half of the job, or more than half of the job done, 90% of the job done. If you know how to talk to people, and if you know how to interact with people, you're going to be a good developer. Seriously. Of course, you need to write code as well. You need to learn how to write your code. But but you do need. There's a big deal here. Collaborating. You need to learn how to collaborate, right? So the practical thing, number one, you have to listen to your customer, brother. Okay. So I'm going to suggest that you listen to your customer. That's very impractical, right? It's impractical because. People say the customer don't know what they want. I'll argue about that, but a customer change their mind all the time. Do you have that experience? Any of you? Sometimes. Customers are too busy to get involved. Yes? Or if I listen, bang, all of the new requirements start crapping from everywhere. And there is this, and there is that, and there is that, and there is that. And that's why customer wants everything, right? And I keep adding and removing must-haves. Have you done that must-have? Then you had to you must remove. There's a must-have, now it's a most remove. Now I don't want it anymore. And it was a must-have last month. What happened to it? All of these things, impractical. Listen to the customers, impractical, right? What I want is just write my code. I want to sit down and write. I don't want to listen to customer. I want to go to my desk and just write my code. No, but you can't, unfortunately. You have to listen to your customer. Otherwise, you're going to be going up the ladder, and at the end, you're not going to find anything. Right? You know that analogy. Now, if you don't begin with the end in mind, you can do very well the idea of efficiency, right? You can keep your boat very clean, and then you're not going to Brazil. You're going to Australia, right? But the boat is really clean. It's very efficient. Everything is doing that code every day. Oh wow! At the beginning of the project, you have that feeling. Oh, the project is going so well, right? You ask someone who's starting a project, "How is the project going?" "The project is going great." Right? You have that feeling. And that's going great. We're writing code, committing so many lines every day. Wow, we're doing like 10 commits each person every day. Is like going great. And towards the end of the project, how is the project going? Well, not so well. We have some problems. It's okay. Now the customer doesn't accept what we're doing. They said there's something else, and we didn't know that we had to add that thing, and it's all complicating. We had to change everything that we did before. Right? Familiar with that? And then suddenly you don't get elephants at the end. You get like an empty stuff, right? The thing is, the customer does not want your code. They don't. They don't want your code. They don't want the estimation They don't want your estimation. They don't want your contract. They don't want that. In the end, what they want? They want the value of the software, right? They will work in software that's actually delivering some value back to them. That's what they want. All of the code, all of the things that you're doing, you have to, if you focus on the value, then you get the customer happy. So you do need to listen to them, right? Because nobody wants a washing machine. This is do you remember for the morning washing machine? I swear to God I had the slides before this morning. Swear to God. Swear to God. And to prove it, I have the guy who actually said that. You see that this is the guy who actually said that. I got it, and I have the link here for the if you want to ask me afterwards where I get that from. Nobody wants a washing machine. What do you want a washing machine for? You don't want a washing machine. You want the clothes clean, right? Same thing. Customer they don't want code. They don't want estimation. They want numbers. They want value, right? Simple idea. So, okay, I have to listen. I'm convinced that I have to listen. How do I do that? Right? Do I just listen all the time? Yes. You listen all the time, continuously. But then feedback can get very loud. You know, have idea of feedback noise? You have to filter feedback, right? Otherwise, feedback can get really loud. So you have to learn how to filter feedback. You have to create some stages on your project where you can accept feedback. Create a space for your customer to come in and give feedback for him. Okay? Feedback is much better as a pull system as it is of a push system. Okay? Have you tried to convince your boss of something and you're very passionate about something and you go to him first time, he says, okay. And then second time, he says like, good idea, think about it. Third time, he's like, can you stop already? Right? Push feedback doesn't work, right? So you have to create a space where you can meet together and the other person is actually anxious and how do you call it? Really willing to get what you have to say, right? So you create a space for that. So you create a space for that on the projects. For the first thing you need to do when you first start a project, you need to get the project mission, right? When you start the charter, if you are traditional, you have the charter of the project, authorizes the project to start. So in the beginning you have to get clear what is the mission of a project, and then you have the sprint planning, sprint vision, sign off. So you have these places in the middle of your project where you can get feedback from your customer, right? So say you beginning of your project, you get the business goals. You get the business goals right. So do not run projects based on scope. Run projects based on business goals. Okay? It's not straightforward. I've been trying to do that for 5 years now. It's not straightforward, but it's the way to go. I'm convinced now it's the way to go. Okay? So what you have to get is the business goals, not the scope. Right? Base your contract, base your relationship to whoever you're building software to on business goals. Here's a link if you're interested in impact mapping. I'm going to show you one slide. This is from Goiko Azic. Right? The idea of impact mapping is that you start with the reason. What are the motivations of these projects? Okay, why do you want to do this? I want to do this because I need to be VAT compliant by the end of February. I want to do this because I need to get to 2,000 users, otherwise I will have to drop my project. So to get the motivation, get the people who cares about something and they can decide about it. So that's the why. And then who are the people who can help me realize those goals, how they can help me realize those goals, and how you, as a developer organization, as a partner, can help them. So this is going to give you what? This is what he is going to give you the features, minimum market features that you're after. You're going to convert them into a product backlog. I'm not going to tell you how today, because I don't have time. But you convert that into a product backlog, and then you go into the sprint vision. You break that into different sprints. So you have your sprint vision for your sprint, and you're gonna create acceptance criteria for those items that is gonna fall into your sprints. And you do that just before your sprint planning. You get the stories. You see that I'm slicing the top of the backlog. Everybody familiar with a product backlog is? Somebody is not familiar with the product backlog here? Not familiar? Okay, so a product backlog is a list of things that you want to done. List of things, features, okay? So you slice that on the top priority ones, the things that you really want more. And this thing's going to fall into the next iteration that you're going to be developing stuff to. And for those things, they're like, these are the items. As a user, I should be able to log in so that I can use the rest of the site. And then I will create conditions. I will create conditions of acceptance. I will create acceptance criteria for those stories, right? And the beauty of this, that this is like a conversation. This is like the what do you mean by this, right? The requirements are not so vague anymore. You're getting the communication right. You're clarifying that. And another thing you can do with this is that you can actually, because this is written in this particular format, it's called Gherkin language. If you write the acceptance criteria in this format, you can automate that with test-driven development. Okay? You can automate the conversation. You can automate the conversation. That's crazy. It's unbelievable. It's beautiful. And then you're prepared to go to sprint planning because you know what the customer means. You know what they want. You know the reason why they want. You know the reason because it's connected to the values, the goals of the project. And now you know what they mean by each of the user stories. Right? So what if the customer isn't available? You ask the customer, do you want to come? Do you want to come and join our sprint planning? Customer said, no, I just want the product and end. I don't want a washing machine. Right? So what you do is that, okay, so do you have someone that can represent you? I said, no, I don't care. I'm paying you the money. You know your stuff. Okay, let me sit with you for a couple of hours, and then during the sprint planning, I'm going to represent you. Just let me get from you what you want. Okay? And you act as a proxy. As a proxy. It has to be someone who understands what the customer wants. If the customer can't be available. Okay? So act as offer a proxy for your customer. Right? And then you have this. You have your product backlog, slice, you have the top priority items, and then you have what? You have a sprint backlog. This is the stuff that you're going to do next. And that's what you're going to focus on. You're going to create tasks for those things alone. Okay? Then what you got? You have listened to the customer, and what you're going to develop is going to come really close to what your customer wants. Closer to what your customer wants. Okay? There's no silver bullet here, but it works much better. Okay? So this is Impractical thing number 1. That's what I want to share with you. Right? So there are other places where you can listen to your customer, make sure that you are signing off your features during the iteration. Don't wait for the sprint to finish and start acceptance test after that. Do that in the same sprint so that you can get your information about how fast you're going. Right? And then also do a retrospective and try to find out if your pace is right. Try to find out that you actually go in the right direction if you're building the right products from your customer as well. So another point where you have to listen from your customer. Okay? So Impractical thing number 2, test-driven development. I don't talk about anything else. I only talk about test-driven development every day, every night. Test-driven development. Okay? So this is Impractical. How can I test something that I have not done yet? I don't know what I'm going to do. What I'm going to test it. How I'm going to test it. It's Impractical. Marcello, please give me something practical. It takes time to learn TDD, right? An argument. It takes time. So I have a project to deliver. I don't have time to learn about testing now. I just have to deliver this project, right? The team is not confident. It happens. Oh, we're not confident we can do this. Let's just get with the work, right? Or it's legacy code. We have the perfect excuse. It's untestable. It's detestable. That God class connects to the database. Everything extends from it. I can't test it. Customer is not paying for the tests, right? Customer is not paying for the tests. My manager doesn't give me time to test, right? It's my manager's fault. Sorry? Hey man, doesn't give it. It's his fault, right? It's not my fault. It's my manager doesn't give me time to test. I have permission not to write tests because my manager doesn't give me time to test. Impractical to do TDD. So impractical. Right. So this is the alternative. Like 1970 idea. Someone came with this brilliant idea. The only beautiful things came out in 1970. I was born in 1970. And Waterfall was born in 1970. So it's only beautiful things. Not. So if you do that for 9 months, you get the requirements, right? You get the requirements right, and then you go to the analysis phase because you've done the requirements, you have everything ready for the analysis phase. You hire the analysts, and they're all involved and do all of the use case diagrams, and everything comes beautifully. Go to the designers, and they do all the entity relationship diagrams. They use, everything is going fine, and they find out that something's wrong with the requirements. Let's get the requirement people. They're not here anymore. What is the analysis people? That we all dispatch them. There's no way. Okay, let's fake something. Let's do something. Let's do some analysis. And we cannot go back. Doesn't work. And then we have to go forward. Design. Done. Okay. Now I get to code. It's getting to 9 months. The baby is going to be born. Oh my God. It doesn't look like the father at all. That's not what I expected. There's something wrong with the baby. It's too late. The baby is born. It's born. You can't put it back. It's born. It's too expensive. Right? It costs a lot of money to go back now, right? Feedback delay. Feedback delay is the most expensive thing, is how long you wait to fix something in software development. That's where the cost is in software development. All the cost in software development is in feedback delay, right? If you're not making money in software, it's because you're taking too much time to learn. That's the reason why you're not making money in software. You need some short feedback cycle, right? So that you know you're in the wrong direction and you can store it as soon as possible, right? So a bunch of guys come together, 2001, this is a more recent idea, on a suburbia of not New Delhi. No, I'm joking. They were in a ski resort in Utah. These people, they have money. Agile people. They're making money with software. Can you believe that? Making money with software. Why? Because they have a very short feedback cycle. Very, very short. You know? All you have to do is get feedback as soon as possible. Write a little bit of test, write a little bit of code, do a little bit of refactoring, 20 minutes, and you get your feedback. Right? And if you break something that you wrote before, bang! The test breaks. You get feedback immediately. Right? You're not going to wait 9 months. Right? So what do you do when you're writing a test? This is the test thinking. This is what it's going to make it very easy for you to write your test. It's just test thinking, okay? I'm going to sit down. What's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to write my test, okay? So what do I do when I write a test? First thing, I will arrange. I will create a setup. I will instantiate the object that I'm going to test. And then I'm going to call a method on it. I'm going to write the code I wish I had. When you're writing tests, you are the selfish man. You can write beautiful APIs, because the code doesn't exist yet. You can pretend it's wonderful. Right? You can call a method that doesn't exist, so you call it very expressive method, very perfect. Perfect naming. Right? And you end up with this beautiful API. Right? Because you're going to implement what your test is telling you that you're going to. It's like a promise. You can't break the heart of a test. You can't do that. Right? So you write the code you wish you had. And then you write some assertion, say, does that work? And of course it doesn't. It gives you red. No, it doesn't exist. So then you're going to go and write the code to make it work. But when you do that, you commit every sin you can. You don't care how beautiful your code look. Right? You don't care. You just write the code to make your test pass. Right? That is a fear management. Right? If you have a big task in front of you, you just have to write this little bit of code that's going to make your test pass. You don't have to worry about the whole system that you have in front of you. And you can evolve there gradually. Right? And now, the next step is make it right. First you make it green, then you go back and make it right. Give you some time to make it right. So, okay, that's very theoretical, it's nice. How do I know how to make it right? Is there some steps I can take? Sure there is. Use the four rules of simple design, right? First thing, all your tests must run and pass. I'm telling you, I only talk about tests all the time. All your tests must run and you cannot refactor if your tests are not running and passing, right? What's the definition of refactoring? Changing the structure without modifying what? The behavior. How do you know you're not modifying the behavior? Because your test is running and passing. So there is no refactoring without tests. Okay? So make sure that all your tests is running and passing, and then remove duplication. Duplication is the mother of all smells. Okay? Duplication is the mother of all smells. Everything that comes after that is because you didn't remove duplication. Okay? Duplication is going to make the code difficult to read, and it's going to make the code complex. So remove duplication. Okay? You're going to have immovable code if you duplicate, if you copy paste everywhere. Then after you remove duplication, make sure that you have very expressive names. Make sure that the class means something, and ask your peer, as someone who is pairing with you, because we are lousy self-evaluators. 80% of everyone think they're good kissers. They're the best kissers. Now you need someone to try that out, right? But that's not pair programming, right? Hold on. Okay, and then remove opacity. After you remove opacity, you're gonna perhaps you're gonna extract some methods, and you're gonna extract some classes. And in doing that, you may make things a little bit more complicated. So what you have to do, make sure that you simplify again. Okay? Last step is go back and simplify if you have overcomplicated stuff. So refactoring is to achieve simple design. It's not to make things very complicated, okay? So if you do that, this is what your code looks like if you're testing your code. Your code is testable, right? Because all tests are running in pass. It's modular. You have removed the code paste. Immobility has gone, right? And now you have expressiveness. Your code is expressive. And your code is simple, right? And if you don't do that, what happens if you don't write your tests? The opposite, okay? The opposite. Your viscosity. Do you know what viscosity is? When it's really hard to do the right thing. Really hard, right? And then you can say it's legacy. It's viscosity. It's very hard to test. When it's really hard to do the right thing, you have viscosity. Immobility, when you have this controller with 500 lines, and then you have this code in the middle that you need somewhere else in your class, in your system, but you kind of, the only way you can reuse that is by copying and paste, and you just committed a horrible sin of copy paste. That's immobility. You can't. Rigidity is when the project manager comes to you and say, hey, can I add this feature? And you say, sorry, game over. Game over. That's rigidity. And fragility is when you say, yeah, you can, but in the back of your head, you know something's going to break over there and something's going to break over there. Familiar with that? That's fragility, okay? And unreadable code, I'm sure you all know what unreadable code is if you are writing PHP for 3 years. Complex, right? You have complexity, unnecessary complexity. All of that because you're not writing your tests, right? And you have this code that you have to leave after the deadline passes, right? Because you have to rush, you have to write all of these, and then, okay, released. Now go and fix this, right? It's like Tetris. You game over. You can't add anything anymore, so, right? The code is terrible. Can we please have one sprint for refactor? Have you heard that? This doesn't exist. You cannot refactor something that is not covered with tests, because you're going to modify the external behavior, and you cannot test without refactoring. It's one step of testing development. Okay? They're like bread and butter. Refactoring tests, they don't exist in separation. Okay? There's no refactoring without that. You're doing something else. You're not doing refactoring. I'm not going to say it because it's not polite. But you're not refactoring. Okay? No refactoring without tests, no testing without refactoring, right? This guy, there's a paper from 1991, Jack W. Reeves, okay? Talks about, this paper is actually the origin of agile development, this paper. From one point he said, you cannot separate code and design. Code is a design activity, right? When it's a representation of design, he says. Code is a representation of design. Previously, before this, there was the V model 1987 for the Ministry of Defense of Germany. Some guys gave me this great idea. Okay, waterfall doesn't work, we have to write a test first. So they created a V model. Familiar with it? V model? Yes? And this guy came in 1991 and said, hey, wait, hang on a second. No. It's not test first. Test, code, and design is one activity. It's one activity, okay? And all the agile movement springs from it. Smalltalks take on ideas from it. And then design patterns comes in. Yeah, it's an equilibrium of forces. Design and code is an equilibrium of forces, and you have to have the test phase in it to make sure that the design will emerge. Okay? So refactoring, when you hear the word refactoring, it's the design phase in Agile projects. Right? Design phase. What is the design phase in Agile project? Refactoring. You don't have a design phase of 9 months. You have 5 minutes of design phase every hour. Right? It's a part of it. It's not a separate effort. So Agile without TDD, it's like going to the cinema and not eating popcorn. It's like pointless. Why would you go to the cinema and not eat popcorn? It's like, doesn't make any sense. Or something similar. There are similar practices that are valid as well here. I don't want you to think this. TDD is the only way. There's test first development as well, which is similar practice. And there's also ginger cake. I don't know if you heard about it. There's some practices there that you can look into the similar, you can get the similar results. But you have to write your test. All this practice is that you have to write your test immediately after you have written your code, and it's within that limits, the short baby step that you're following with, okay? Otherwise, cinema without popcorn. Impractical thing number 3. Focus on quality, not on schedule. Right? There is no time for quality. We rush, we have a project to finish here. The budget doesn't cover quality. We haven't paid for that. It's a very simple project. We have done this 1,000 times. Does that resonate with you? Do you know, have you heard these things before? Quality is vague. What is quality? Deadlines. Deadlines are real. What is quality? Right? Let's do the needful now. This needs to be done right now. I'll think about fixing afterwards. We just have to release this now, and then after the deadline, we're going to fix this thing. Right? Heard about it? So focusing on quality in our schedule is impractical. Right? Quality is like onions. When you open quality, you cry. No. There are layers to quality. There's outer quality and there's inner quality, right? So what we usually see, what we usually people worry about and demand is outer quality. That's what people usually thinking they're paying for, right? And that's the thing that your customer is going to look for. And the project manager sees. It's going to say, okay, software works as expected. It looks like expected. It works like expected. It's built efficiently. It's not costing me a lot of money. And it's focused on the goals of the project, right? This is what the people will see. People who pay for the software and the project managers, they'll see the outer quality. What they will not see is this. They will not see if the code is testable, if it's expressive, if it's modular, if it's simple. Only if they have technical stakeholders looking at it. But typically, these are not the things that are going to be detrimental at the deadlines. The other things are going to count on the deadlines, right? You with me? Okay. So what happens if you don't have the outer quality? Because this is the most visible ones, right? You get stingnato. You get into a place where you don't want to be, right? Right? You have to do rework, you have to do everything again, you get bugs, you're going over budget, the people are like, morale goes down, the team goes like, oh no, more bugs, and you fix the bugs and they ask you how long it's going to take, you have no clue, because there's no test, you don't know if you're going to break something else when you fix those bugs, right? Missing deadlines, project abortion, we have to stop the project now. It's not maintainable, we can't pay for it anymore. And you're like the saddest person on the planet. Unusable system. You build a system and they put it away. They don't even use it. And relationships deteriorate. I don't want to test anymore, you know. Every time you bring this stuff for me to test, I just find more and more bugs. I don't trust you anymore, go away. Right? This is lack of outer quality. It's very visible, right? But what causes poor quality? What causes poor outer quality? What are the causes of it? Lack of automated acceptance tests will cause lack of poor quality, because these will test the things that you can see. Lack of customer involvement will cause that. team not focused on the project mission, and lack of inner quality. And that's forgotten. That's forgotten, right? That bit is forgotten. So what happens if you focus on schedule, right? This is from Edward Deming, Guru Quality. He says that you start from a place of fear of underachieving. And as a good developer, you're going to say, can you do it? And you're going to say, yes, I can. And the developer goes like, sure, I can. You don't want to disappoint. Developers are like that. They like challenges. They like, no, sure, I can do it, but you are fearful that you're not going to achieve it. And you're going to haste. In the process of hasting your development, you're going to hide stuff that you know is not working quite so well. I'm going to think about this thing later on. You're going to hide stuff, and you know you're going to hide what's going on there, right? And eventually, when you're going to release on time and no budget, everything's going to be fine. But then you're going to have to rework everything. You're going to have to fix all the bugs and stuff, and the project's going to go and go and go and go and go, right? And the low morale, because you're always working, fixing bugs. You're like tired of this situation, this project. I just want a new job, right? So it's a terrible place to be. If you fall into this cycle, schedule, 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 schedule. You just don't want to be that anymore. Please take me out of this picture, right? This is from a work, 1988. It's so important to focus on quality. Otherwise, you distract productivity. But if you focus on quality, you start, instead of aligning, fear of underachieving, you encourage to align with the goals, right? The team is one page with the customer. Let's do the right thing. You have this mood in the team. Let's do the right thing. Let's write tests. Let's do a static analysis, continuous integration, and let's achieve a little bit, maybe less than the other people in the beginning, right? Because you're doing tests, you're doing continuous integration, you're pair programming, and you're not used to these things. You're learning, so you're going to achieve less, but you're going to achieve. Whatever you commit to achieve, you're going to achieve those things. But the beautiful is that these things work. When you start adding more things, you're not going to be fixing bugs because that bit is working. And the last bit here is that you're now proud of what you achieved. And your motivation is growing, and you're going to go faster, and you're going to improve over time, right? So how do you ensure outer quality? By example workshops, by automating acceptance tests, by having a sprint vision statement, and by having a sign-off principle, so working in collaboration with your customer. And how do you ensure inner quality? There's no way around it, guys. You have to write tests. You have to write tests, and you have to have some continuous integration going on. Tests. If you're doing agile projects, that is. But otherwise, you can have 9 months of design and thinking about everything very thoroughly. In agile, there's no other way to do design if you're not doing this thing, if you're not emerging the design with tests. There's no other opportunity for you, because there's just no time. Continuous integration, tests, static analysis from day one. And pair programming, or at least peer review. At least peer review. Okay? Impractical thing number 4, pair programming. Very impractical. 2 resources, 1 task, just do the math, man. This is not efficiency at all. Even I didn't do economics, and I know that this is not efficient, right? It's a crazy idea. 2 people, 1 task? It's obvious, it's wrong, something wrong with it. Why isn't everyone else doing it? If it's so good, why isn't all the companies in the world doing pair programming? Well, they will chat and not get anything done. That's what's going to happen for pair programming here. There's just blah, 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 blah in the office, right? And then the guy say, I do all the work, and this guy's just looking at the screen. How do you take the time if you have 2 people working on the same task? How do you take the time and show the customer that you're actually working on how are you going to show the customer that your resources is working on 2 people working on the same thing? How are you going to show that to the customer? Impractical. And geeks don't like to work with other people. This is impractical ideas. Impractical. Yeah, they're like going lurking in a lure full of cans of Red Bulls. So very simple idea, 2 developers sharing a screen. I'm not even saying the same workstation because I did pair programming with FZ. We're not even in the same country. Like different countries, you can do pair programming. Just you're sharing the workstation, but can be remotely as well. So 2 developers sharing a screen and working on the same task. Okay, that purism here. There are a lot of purism. If you go on Google, if you Google about pair programming, there's a lot of people saying there is a pilot, there's a navigator, and you have to do like this, and you have to do like that. There's a lot of science on pair programming. 2 people, okay? Communication, collaboration, sharing a screen, working on the same task, okay? Essentials. If you focus on essentials, you get there, okay? So what is pair programming about? And Marco, sorry, I had to see your picture. Pair programming. Is the ad baculum argument. No, no, it's not about that. It's about improvements, right? I'm so lucky I live in London. I get to go to this workshop. There's a guy called John Jagger. He speaks about delivery practice. And delivery practice is all about continuous improvement. And I went to one of his talks where he explains the principle of improvements. And some of these principles are so related to pair programming that I couldn't stop myself from adding this slide here. Company, the company is a very nice word. It means company organization, but also means having someone accompanying you, so having someone else with you. Because we are very lousy self-evaluators, right? There are loads of statistics that shows that people think they're better than what they are. And having someone with you really open your eyes for things. Having someone who can give you honest feedback is really important, right? That's company. Addiction. Addiction is a principle that says that you can't just get a new habit out of the blue. You can't just become a TDD developer because it's the 1st of January and you make a promise to yourself. You can't do that. You have the principle of addiction is that you have to replace a habit with another one, right? So get into the habit, get someone else to do that with you, and you get into the habit as well, okay? Feedback is not feedback if it doesn't feed back into the system, right? So you have someone to help you feed the things back into the system. Visibility is about, some of these principles are really connected to each other. So you have feedback and visibility, but it's like, have you tried to throw a ball bowling and have a curtain in front of the pins? It's kind of, you don't know how many pins you have. It's useless, right? You need to see how you're doing, right? So visibility is important. And you see all those things is connecting with pair programming, and they're also connected to learning. Success. A lot of people say, we gotta fail. It's very important to fail. Have you heard that? Culture of failure? Failure is good. Open your arms to failure. Without failure, there's no learning. Have you heard that? It's very popular today, no? Failure is good. Let's fail. But let's fail as soon as possible. Right? The idea here is that failure is not good if it's not accompanied by an idea of success. There was this boy who was found in Germany. He was being raised by wolves, apparently, and he didn't know how to talk or walk because his idea of success was not walking like us or talking like us. For him to survive, he had to talk like the wolves and he had to behave like the wolves. So he was found by scientists who kind of used him like a guinea pig and tried to make him walk and talk again. Eventually, they made him walk, but they were not able to make him talk, ever. The boy never learned how to talk. Because he didn't have, for him, it wasn't success to talk, right? He didn't have that. So if you have pair programming, if you have the chance to pair program someone who is like senior to you, and he knows how to do TDD, that's brilliant, right? If you can see success, you can learn it, right? It's not enough for you to fail doing it all the time. You need to have an idea how it's done properly. Okay? You with me? Did I lose you? Success. Provocation. Provocation, you have to try to do something which is a bit harder than what you used to all the time, if you want to continuous learning all the time. Okay? So pair programming is about improving fast. And I hope you want to do that. I swear to God, I hope that you want to improve. Right? There is a lot of data now. I'm not going to give you statistics. If you are interested in statistics, this is the only agile practice that has been proved to be efficient and effective. There are numbers there. So if you want to read, go on the web and read about it. Okay? Should pair program the pairs should be keep together? What do you think? Okay, ideally, it's recommended that yes, you should try and stick with the pairs, because otherwise there's a lot of, if you swap within the project, there's a lot of context switching, you know what I mean? You're working with this guy today in one part of the system, then you have to context switch with another guy. So what you do is that you try, and if you're doing something that's going to change drastically the system, you have to raise, get up, and tell the other guys, hey guys, we're going to change here some design that is going to impact you as well, and talk to the team, right? But try to stick to the pairs. Ideally, there's no rule here, right? Use your brain. And who to pair with who? A bad idea is junior with junior. That's a bad idea, all right? Anything else is good, okay? Important stuff to remember. Focus on the code. Focus on the code, not really on, hey, you forgot the semicolon. Be patient with that, okay? If someone just forgets something, let the guy write a little bit of code. Focus on what you're trying to achieve with the code. That's what I'm trying to say here, okay? Focus on what you're trying to achieve. Be a little patient. And use the test list. Have you heard about test list, Spartan? Kent Beck? Okay, so if you have an idea that you're not going to implement right now, add to your to-do and write a test for that later. But don't interrupt your thinking all the time, okay? And don't go, I show you. Don't steal the keyboard and go, I show you. Don't do that. Be patient, even if you are the senior. Okay, be patient. And time box your decisions. If you kind of go into an argument, I don't think you're right, I don't think you're right, I don't think you're right, I don't think you're right. There's just like 5 minutes to it, and then just pick one, right? Pick something, and then go back to that later. Okay? How do I learn this stuff? Code Katas, number 5. Okay, who's going to pay for Code Katas? Do you know what Code Katas are? I'm going to explain to you. So it's a practice that you do, a deliberate practice. You try 1 hour of pair programming with someone else. Who's going to pay for that? What? Writing code and then delete the code? What? I'm already working 9 to 5. I don't want to do anything on my own time. Solving a problem that has already been solved. I'm committed to a sprint now. I cannot go to your Code Kata thingy. I have a release and I can't join you today. This is impractical. Okay? You need to get people to do some stuff to be able to change their thinking. You can't ask them to think in a different way by forcing them to do something. This is how adults work. You have them do something and then they go, ah, right? Don't say, think like this. No, it doesn't work like that. Right? I want you to do pair programming now. I want you to do it. It doesn't work like that. Get them to do it. And they go, ah, that's why you do it. Right? Get them to do it. That's why you do this thing, kata. So what do you do? 1 hour every week. I choose to do this on Friday, 4:30 in my company. And if the project managers go and say, you can't have this guy. And I go, okay, are you going to release something Friday, 4:30? Oh, no. Okay, so I'm going to have him, okay? And if the developers don't want to go, just put some beers in the meeting room. Put some beers there. It's 4:30, Friday. Everybody's getting into the mood of the weekend. Developers go to a meeting room, and then they're going to practice TDD for an hour. 20 minutes, 3 rounds of 20 minutes. And then at the end of each round, you delete the code, and then swap the pairs to create a little bit of confusion. And they're going to start from the beginning, and they're going to pair with someone else. We're going to bring the idea from the previous pair, and now it's like exponential. They're going to learn more and more stuff every time they change it. Okay? You can Google about Code Kata. You're going to find loads of Code Katas on the web. Okay? Someone said this. Do you know who said this? We have a great tool in this language. We can kill it by making a mess. We can kill it by being arrogant. We can kill it by ignoring the enterprise. Who said that? Do you know Robert C. Martin? Yes? Some people know. So Robert C. Martin said that. But he didn't say that in relation to PHP. He said that in relation to Ruby. And he said that in relation to Ruby. He was talking about what kills small talk. Have you heard about small talk? Yeah, everybody heard about small talk. So small talk was like a big thing, and very similar to PHP's dynamic language, taking over the world. All the programmers wanted to code in small talk. When small talk died, they almost wanted to kill themselves because they had to code in Java. And the language was killed because people didn't take care, and people didn't consider the enterprise, right? And he said that in in a conference, a Ruby conference, I think is very much applied to us. Okay? So we can kill it by not taking care, right? We should think about PHP, cowboy, code time is gone. It's enterprise time now. We're actually hitting the enterprise now, so we have to be grown-ups now. Okay? Now, I just want to finish with this quote. Be daring, be different, be impractical, be anything that will assert integrity of purpose and imaginative vision against the play it safers, the creatures of the commonplace, and the slaves of the ordinary. Okay? My name is Marcello. I work at Invica. I'm the head of training of Invica. I contribute to PHP Spec, and I tweet at that handle there. And I thank you very much. Do we have time for questions? Okay. Is there any time for questions?
Sorry?
Is there any time for questions?
Yeah, we've got a bit of a longer break, so do you want to take like 5 minutes? And
All right.
just,
And do you have questions?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, comments? Yes? Comment and yeah?
I'm not sure about what you said putting pairs together when you're pairing. We do it differently. We find that by constantly swapping pairs around, everybody knows everything about the system.
Yeah.
So if somebody leaves, you don't have this. Oh, no,
The bus. Yeah, hit by the bus.
John did that.
Yeah.
We don't know how it works.
Yeah.
And by moving pairs, it will really help share the system.
Yeah.
And we don't like each other crazy.
Yeah, there's not one way of doing this, right? So the reason, it's good to understand the reasons why you do that. So if you have a system that it really requires everybody to know very well every part of the system, it's probably a good idea to share them. And, but if you find out, you do measure and then change, retrospective, right? So if you find that you're doing a lot of context switching that's slowing you down, then you go back to keeping pairs together, right? And unless you get tired to working with the same guy all the time. Just, it depends. You have to, and pair programming is very tiring, very tiring. So you probably won't be able to keep it up in the beginning. 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day with the same person can be really tiring because you get a lot done. So you're not tweeting anything, not googling anything. So
we probably only got time for like another question, but has anybody got one? Oh, wait, yeah. I'll just run over so if anybody's next door, they can hear it.
Okay, how do you relate to TDD with BDD?
Right, so how do you relate TDD to BDD? TDD is TDD done right. No, TDD is TDD done right. No, TDD is TDD done right, okay? If you don't do TDD right, you're not doing TDD, period. Now we had to create BDD to teach you guys do TDD right. We create BDD as a teaching tool. So you do your TDD right. Okay? Does that answer your question?
Cool. Thanks everyone.
Thank you very much.
And thanks Marcello.